delight to have 3 more short talks again this evening, 3 personal talks. We had 3 talks last week, which were wonderful, and I'm really looking forward to the 3 short talks this evening. I'm just going to set the scene again with to create the contexts before we have the talks from Daya Singha, Sangha Gita, and Jaya Gupta. So you'll all know by now the theme is the Tantra for today. We're looking at the Tantric school of Buddhism, the Tantric approach to Buddhism, and how we can translate that and get the principles from that in a way that we can practice today, in a way that will benefit us today. In particular, how the Tantra emphasizes everyday life as an arena for practice. And we heard about that last week very much with people talking about their crucial situations, cremation grounds. Also how the Tantra tries to encourages us to harness all of our emotions, all of our energy, in particular strong emotions that we might usually turn away from, such as fear or anger, falling in love, jealousy. Yes, very, very strong emotions. And the Tantra uses compelling images, and it uses ritual, myth, symbols to try and stir up those energies, to engage those energies. So we're going to be dwelling a bit more in that kind of area this evening. We're going to be looking at how Tantric Buddhism and how we in Triratna use Buddha images, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the practice of a Yidam, taking a Yidam. It's a personification of enlightenment. It's a symbol. It is a symbol of enlightenment. But for people who engage in the practice of meditating on a Yidam, on a Buddha or Bodhisattva figure, it's not just a symbol. So I want to just set the context a little bit, and we're going to hear personal examples, which hopefully will make that, you'll get a sense of that. First thing I want to say is it's not a rational practice. So it's not something the rational mind is doing. It's us meditating on a symbol, engaging on a symbol. It's a process that it's trying to stir and awaken deeper energies, and it can work in a very mysterious way. It's not a rational practice, but that doesn't mean it's irrational. It's not irrational either. It makes sense. It makes when you hear about it, it's not something that's irrational. So you can explain how Yidams and how the symbols work, but it's important to say there's a kind of mysterious element to it for people who practice and engage in these symbols. It's not working on a rational level. It's working in a more, you could say, magical way. And this is something else we've been exploring, how the Tantra uses magic. And we've been hearing about the tantric rites, the rite of fascination, which draws on all this energy of falling in love and fascination. The Tantra draws on this, the rite of pacification, calming down energies that are stirred up, the rite of destruction, breaking through obstacles, and the rite of generation. Is that the right? It's not called generation. Abundance. It's generosity, abundance. Maybe it is generation. The generation of abundance. And in particular, the practice of meditating on a Yidam, on a Buddha or Bodhisattva figure, it particularly draws on this element of falling in love. It's like if you can, all that energy that becomes available when we fall in love with somebody, we'd do anything to be with them. We're thinking about them all the time, we're obsessed with them. Imagine if you felt like that about enlightenment, about waking up. All that energy becomes available. So we can have a personification of enlightenment that really motivates us, really inspires us to practice, because we can pour that energy into it in the form of devotion. And it's a relationship that builds up over time with people who practice this Yidam practice. So it's something that we take up at ordination. We've got 3 order members here to talk about their relationship with their Yidam. But it's also something that we can be open to and receptive to at any level, really. These symbols can fascinate you, they can attract you, they can speak to you in ways that aren't rational, that you don't quite understand. And maybe you've had that sense with a Buddha image or a Bodhisattva image or a symbol, a Buddhist symbol. It might have been a mantra, it might have been a ritual that you've done, something that's just touched you, and something that stirred you and touched you. And it's not a rational process, but it's not irrational either. So it involves receptivity, and there's There's magic and mystery involved in that. And if you want to think about it in a more rational way, when you fall in love with somebody, we're falling in love, we're projecting qualities onto them that we're falling in love with. The kind of qualities maybe that we feel like we lack, and we see them in this other person, and we really love those qualities. And we're projecting those qualities onto the object of our desire, our love. And the Yidam practice does this. We are all those innate qualities. It might be the innate compassion, innate wisdom, innate energy that's kind of latent within us. It's projected onto this archetypal symbol, and we meditate on it, and that activates that within us. That wisdom, that compassion, that energy, that love gets activated within us through this this relationship of projecting it onto an external figure, and then meditating on that, and how that stirs, that activates within us. So you can certainly explain it in a rational way, but that doesn't do justice to it. And I think maybe I'll stop talking, allow our three speakers to share their experience of meditating on a Yidam and explaining the figure they meditate on. And they're going to be, first of all, Dhyasingha talking about White Tara, Sangha Gita talking about Padmasambhava, and Jayagupta talking about Vajrasattva. And they've got between 8 and 10 minutes. So Janet's going to wave at them after 8 minutes and again after 10 minutes. And I won't introduce them one by one, but I'll come up at the end and say thank you. So first of all, Dhyasingha.
Let me get the mic up. Is that okay there? Can you hear me? Yeah. Great. Okay. Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Bodhinaga. So, my Yidam, the one I'm going to be talking about, is White Tara. So I did a few weeks back a morning here with Sangha Gita on White Tara. And I think we agreed that I would introduce White Tara. And so when I came along, I said to Sangha Gita, I said, I've just decided I'm just going to go bonkers. And Sangha Gita said, great. But the email I got about this one was like, hold on, Sparky, just rein it back a little bit. So we're gonna have to keep our feet a little bit on the ground. So first of all, I'm going to talk about some of the symbolism of White Tara. Then I'm going to talk about partly how I use some of that, what some of that means to me, and it's meaning different things to me as I do the practice. So for a start, White Tara, she's called Tara and she's white. she's made up of beautiful white light. The white light of 100 autumn moons, and if you've been looking at the moon, over the last month, it's been absolutely fantastic. That brightness, that bright quality, absolutely gorgeous. So she's associated with the moon, which is a universal sort of female symbol. So she's white. White contains all the colours of the different forms of Tara. There are actually 21 different forms of Tara. She has 108 names. I have heard that there's 108 forms as well, but I'm not too sure about that. But all those other colours are contained in white. So she's a very powerful figure, sometimes referred to as the mother of all Buddhas. So she sits in the full lotus position on an 8-petaled lotus. Brilliant on a brilliant white moon mat. I don't know if we've got an image of her. It's a bit. Oh, there we go. We've got an image. Not great for you if you're sitting over there, but have a look at an image of White Tara after this. So her right hand rests on her right knee. There's mudra, the mudra of giving, and her left hand holds it's an Utpala lotus. I'm not quite sure if I've pronounced that right. It's Utpala, Utpala lotus. In the gesture, she's also holding it in the gesture of blessing and protection. And the 3 fingers that are up are the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. It's very significant, I think, that the lotus that she holds is this particular species of lotus, that opens at night. It opens at night, opens in the dark. Also, it's most of the time she's got like 3 lotuses in different stages of development. You know, so like fully closed, half opened, and fully opened, and that doesn't take too much guessing what that means in symbol. You know, it's our sort of development. White's often associated with purification, but also with the Tantra, it represents pacification as well. So she's got the usual sort of silks. She's decked out in silks of the Bodhisattva. She wears the Bodhisattva crown or tiara. She's got beautiful black hair. And in the top of the top knot, you've got Amitabha, the red Buddha of the West, and he represents, you know, compassion and love. Yeah, eternally youthful, and you know, just beautiful. And perhaps the most striking feature are these eyes, these 7 eyes. So 2 in the normal place, 1 in each palm, and 1 in each foot, in the soles of the feet. So you could think of that. I've heard different explanations for the eyes. You could think of it as the 2 ordinary sort of worldly eyes, and then the 5 wisdoms, the eyes of the five wisdoms. Because in a Bodhisattva crown, in a tiara, not so much on that image, but you've normally got the 5 Buddhas represented by the different coloured gems that are in there. Yeah, I'll say more about the eyes in a little bit. So the name Tara, she's got 108 names, like I say, but the name Tara can mean saviouress, but that can be problematic for some people. And I really like the name that she's given of Guiding Star. Guiding Star. I really like that one. She has a mantra associated with her. And if you chant the mantra, what you're asking Tara for is long life, blessing and wisdom, and she'll give that happily. You can also put other people's name in the mantra. You know, if you want them to be well, if you want them to have long life, you can chant the mantra with the other person's name in it, asking Tara to bless them with long life as well. So that's a little bit on the symbolism. I mean, you can get that from a book. You can read that in a book. You can discuss that sort of thing. This is information, just giving you information. Okay, it's not real knowledge. It's not real knowledge. Some of you might be aware of Tom Waits. He's a strange little man, singer, performer, and he said something like, you know, we're buried under a weight of information which we mistake for knowledge, and then we go and mistake that knowledge for wisdom. So, you know, a symbol has many more than just one meaning. I could ask you right now to just have 5 minutes talking to the person sat next to you, and then I could ask you to tell me about them, and you could tell me their hair colour, their eye colour, their shoe size, what they like to eat, their bank account details. Give them to me. And but that wouldn't tell us anything about the person. It wouldn't tell us who or what they are. It wouldn't really get close. You'd probably have to really resort to something like poetry or art or something like that to get across what the person really means. So a symbol has many meanings. Banti said that the full meaning of a symbol can't be exhausted by the intellect. You can't just get there. So a symbol is actually there for when words and concepts begin to fail. Tara, then, the white Tara is really, she's what the wisdom aspect of compassion. She's what wisdom and compassion look like. Okay. So this is Tara. Anything's possible. She's not real or unreal. The symbols aren't real or unreal in terms that we use to describe reality. And by now, having been coming up to the Buddhist Centre for a little while, you should be starting to realise that there's a little bit more to life than meets the eye. A little bit more to this idea of reality that we've got. So for me, it's what does the image? How does the image speak to me? How does it make me feel? And Bodhinaga's already talked about the tantric rite of fascination. And you know, of loving the practice, of falling in love with it. Tara is really beautiful. She's really attractive, and so she's really easy to fall in love with. I love Tara. I've got to be careful because my wife's probably watching this. But, so she's she's my guardian angel. Again, Banti said it's very important to have an angel with you on your journey. Otherwise, it's just a journey, and a dry and dusty one at that sort of thing. So, we walk up the corridor, and we've got this lovely writing there: cherish the doctrine, really, really cherish it. It's so important that we love what we do, and we're fond. We respond with fondness to each other and things like that. So, moving back onto those eyes, in a loving relationship, you don't hold anything back. In fact, there's no hiding from those eyes. She sees me. And if you're not open, if you're not fully open, you're holding something back. It might be something of yourself that you're a little bit ashamed of. You want to just bury it, but you can't do that. You've got to bring all of yourself along this on this path of transformation. That's the only way that we can grow. Quite often, we're ashamed of things, and we don't want to sort of bring them along with us. But Tara sees this, and you've got to do it. You've got to bring it along with you. I'm running out of time, but I just want to read quickly this little thing about guilt, which was written by Edith Eger, who she wrote a book called The Choice. She's an Auschwitz survivor. So how easily a life can become a litany of guilt and regret, a song that keeps echoing with the same chorus, with the inability to forgive ourselves. How easily the life we didn't live becomes the only life we prize. How easily we are seduced by the fantasy that we are in control, that we were ever in control, that the things we could or should have done or said have the power, if only we had done or said them, to cure pain, to erase suffering, to vanish loss. How easily we can cling to, worship, the choice we think we could or should have made. So Tara also sort of sees my limitations. She looks at me and she lets me know what I can do and what I can't do. And I aspire to do the things. I don't have the expectations, I aspire. So just finishing off, Tara sees and accepts all of us. She sees and accepts everything about us. And she only sees us with nothing but love and compassion. So we had to allow her brilliant moonlight, the moonlight of 100 autumn moons, to shine into the darkest places, to illuminate our wounds, our failings, and we can love that part of ourselves as well. And then just remembering that about the lotuses. In the darkest moments and darkest places, even there, lotuses bloom. Thank you.
Okay, does that sound all right? Yeah, I think it is, isn't it? When I said I'd do this talk, is this your phone, Dicing? Okay. I was like, oh yeah, I could talk about Padmasambhava all day. And then I thought, God, I actually feel really nervous about it because I'm sure that I won't do him justice. That's my worry. But I think it will be all right. Alex said something really interesting in this team meeting. He says almost as if him talking about the interesting Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that are arising for him collapses them. Is that what you said, Alex? Something like that. It collapses them, and I thought, God, yeah, I know what you mean. Trying to put your relationship, my relationship with Padmasambhava into words, has the danger of collapsing something that can't be collapsed, and I might be responsible for that, and it feels a bit scary. Anyway, so I've just written a load of stuff down, and I'm just going to see what happens. One of the things that I love about Padmasambhava is that he was a real life human being and lived in 8th century Tibet. But he was a shaman. We don't have the cultural and religious background of 8th century Tibetans. And we don't have his physical presence and influence. So it's really interesting how on earth is it possible for Padmasambhava to be so relevant to me. It's a real mystery. I first came across him in the North London Buddhist Centre in August 2001, because that's when I first went to a Buddhist centre, and I went during the Padmasambhava festival weekend, and he was the first Rupa that I saw. I kind of stood in front of him, and I'd never seen anything like that before. His eyes, the strength of his posture, the movement in the Rupa. There's the flags are fluttering in the breeze. That they're kind of made like to show like they're fluttering in the breeze. And he was dead familiar, but completely unknown to me. I had no idea who he was. But at that time, and have continued to be, I'm not blessed with a kind of sunny, kind, open, loving, friendly nature. I work at that. My default is impatience, intolerance, and fieriness. That's just kind of what I came along with. And something in him met that. Something in the redness of Padmasambhava met that in me. And I loved that. It was irrelevant to me that he was from a different time and space. It just didn't matter. I was brought up a Catholic and quite easily relate to patron saints, and I kind of went along those lines with him. And that's how it was for a while. That he was a being from another time and space who I could relate to, and he was powerful and magic and could help me. So at the same time, strangely, I was reading a book that had a prayer to Padmasambhava in it. I suppose I might more call it an aspiration. And it's a short one, but it was very important to me and still is, and I say it most days. So it's Blessed Guru, Lotus-born Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, one with all awakened ones throughout time and space, blissful presence, source of all spiritual accomplishment, fierce destroyer of all illusion, we pray to you for blessings and inspiration. Please remove all outer, inner, hidden and unknown obstacles and spontaneously fulfill my aspirations. To you and you alone we pray. And two things in that prayer have always kind of stood out for me. His blissful presence. Have we got him? So imagining sitting with somebody and you're just with them, and that alone is blissful. Just sitting with somebody is blissful. And when I look at that image, and I think, yeah, there's something of that in him, in that. The other thing was about the obstacles. Please remove all outer, inner, hidden and unknown obstacles. Be careful what you pray for, because he certainly has done that and continues to do that. And those hidden and unknown obstacles are not the most straightforward of things to tackle, but he has that power to be with you whilst he doesn't just reveal them, he stays with you while you're working with those things that are being revealed about yourself. So what happened was I knew I loved him and I knew he was it. But I prayed to him, and I call it prayer. I don't have a problem with that. But some people might think of it more as saying words of an aspiration, saying words like a wish, like we do in the Metta Bhavana, may I be well, may I be happy. We can take that however we want. But I would pray to him, and then in the next few days and weeks, another Buddha or Bodhisattva would emerge. So I've been through them all, really. Akshobhya, Amoghasiddhi, Ratnasambhava, all the pranyas, lots and lots and lots of them. And I got to Akashavana when I was ordained, and Padmasambhava was everywhere. And I'd gone thinking I was going to have Tara as my sadhana, and he said, in words, in a sense, I don't know exactly how, but he said, no, it's me for the big one. And whether he meant, I don't know what I took at the time, that he meant for ordination, for the Yidam, that I'm going to be the one for the long haul. Padmasambhava knew that he was a being for the future. You know, he knew that the people he was teaching to in Tibet mostly probably wouldn't get what his teachings were about. So he hid prayers and teachings in rocks and in crevices in the mountains, so that people would find them in the future. And he wrote hundreds and hundreds of these teachings and prayers. And when he left Tibet, eventually left Tibet, riding on a tiger, I think, he was going to the land of the Rakshasas, this weird barbarian race. And scholars down the ages think that's us. He was headed for us. And Padmasambhava is, I think, and you know, because of my relationship with him, I think he is this is his time and place. 2024 in Sheffield. Is that 2 minutes? So he knew we would need him. We could never meet him in his physical presence. So the thing about Padmasambhava is he gets, and now I get, the importance of devotion, the importance of love for him. He demands that you put him at the heart of your life. And that's just not, he's not like a megalomaniac. It's because he knows that that's how you do it. You have to have something that is at the heart of your life, that is based on something wonderful and transcendent and love and wisdom, which is what he is. He still brings me the teachings when I need them. It might be, you know, I haven't described him quite as much as, you know, perhaps another figure would need describing, because we know him quite well in Sheffield. We've got the Rupa down there. We have Padmasambhava Day. I think people are quite familiar with him. He's a being of light. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful man. He is a magnificent, glorious, mysterious, compassionate light in red and blue and yellow and gold. And he has all the jinnahs in his hat. He has a vulture's feather that reaches for the sky. He's uncompromising. He's the Vajraguru, born of a lotus. And you could not wish for a more perfect companion in your life. He is there for you. There was a small moment at Akashivana when I nearly lost him, when I doubted him for a moment, and he disappeared. He just went. Long story, can't tell you it, but he came back. But only if I would put him at the heart of my life. He's completely uncompromising. And, you know, when you have that bond with him, he's not going to let you go. And I really love that kind of loyalty. So I am devoting the heart of my life to his service. And I'm very happy to do that. And when he said at Koshivana, no, it's me for the big one, I think possibly he meant the big one, as in breaking through into freedom. And that would mean then that he's going to be with me for many, 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 many thousands of lifetimes to come. So that's good, isn't it? That's got to be 10 minutes, hasn't it? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? You can hear me, that's good. It's a good start. I've got rather a lot of gear here. The microphone thing, the clock that Dire Singer forgot, and a few notes. So I don't know whether you were out and about this morning. It was a beautiful, clear morning, bitterly cold, but that beautiful blue sky. And that matchless blue sky is the blue sky that Vajrasattva appears in or out of. So he's a figure of absolute beauty, a body of white light, dazzling like sunlight on fresh snow. So you get this glistening feeling from Vajrasattva. And he sits cross-legged on an 8-petaled lotus throne, dressed in loose silks and jewels. And of course, like all the bodhisattvas, a jeweled headdress or crown. But most distinctively of all, he has in his right hand a Vajra, held something like this. In some depictions, it seems to balance magically on my hand, on his hand, but I'm not going to try and replicate that. That way lies trouble. And in his left hand, he has a Vajraganta, the Vajra bell, usually this way up and resting around his left thigh, his left knee. Vajrasattva, the Lord of purification. He purifies all beings with this dazzling white light and the mantra Om Vajra Om, Om Vajrasattva Hum. And of course, the lovely long 100-syllable mantra. If I did that, that would use up my 8 minutes. So you can look that up in the Puja book and experience that elsewhere. So he's a figure that is actually replete with symbolism, the Lord of purification. So I want to say a little bit about some of the symbols, but I think as other people have said already, symbols, and if you like, they keep on giving meaning. They're richer than just X equals Y, so they're sort of full of meaning. But perhaps I should say something about purification. It's a weird word, isn't it, with all sorts of strange connotations. But I think of like 100% proof, pure in that sense, unadulterated, neat, the real strong stuff, if you like. And the purification for associated with Vajrasattva is a purification of body, speech, and mind. He is free from. You know, you get those shelves in the supermarket, free from. Well, he's free from craving, aversion, and delusion. He's free from all wrong views. He's free from any ethical impurities. And of course, he wears that blissful expression on his face, which actually, this is a reasonable go at it. My favorite, I can't quite make out. There's his Mahaprasaraness sitting over there. I know this is tiny and you probably won't see it, but this is my favorite image of Vajrasattva, which we saw in 2014 in Samye Monastery in Tibet, painted on a wall, if I remember rightly, Mahaprasara, and it's gorgeously rendered. I expect there are postcards on sale in the book shop, but if there aren't, he might even put one up on Slack or something like that. My favorite image there. A little bit about the Vajra and the bell. You'll notice you probably didn't notice, but I put them back touching one another because they should always be touching one another when they're together. First of all, the Vajra, the diamond thunderbolt, well, you'll have come across it before, I'm sure. If you've done a series on Tantra, some explanation will have already happened. So it's held at Vajrasattva's heart in the right hand, supposedly the masculine quality, and it's the masculine quality of indestructible and immeasurable compassion. That's the Vajra. The bell on his left thigh, the Vajraganta, Vajra, same thing, Ganta for bell, is the feminine quality, and that's associated with wisdom and insight into emptiness. And the ringing of the bell, which I can hear quite vividly in sadhana practice, is the ringing of form, which disappears into emptiness. Form, which is absorbed back into emptiness. So this is the combination of wisdom and compassion. Tibetans have these little bags for storing their vajras and their gantas in a way, like little silk bags, in a way that they're touching as they move on or move out of the gompa or wherever. One other thing to say about this figure, like all our bodhisattvas, it's a youthful figure. And I see that as the unfolding, progressive qualities that he embodies, the unfolding, progressive qualities of wisdom and compassion. So my relationship to Vajrasattva is what I want to sort of spend the last sort of segment of this reflection on. So I've been, embarrassingly, I think, I've been practicing for 40 years. I've notched up 40 years. And I must confess to having come and gone with figures like Vajrasattva and some of the others. In some phases of my practice, I was absolutely absorbed and entranced by all of them. And then the next phase, I can't be doing with them. You know, they've got the dolls out again, I used to think. And I just wanted the Buddha, neat. But Vajrasattva was given to me as my Yidam and has become very, very central to my own practice. And I want to just give you a sort of taste of that. I've had the wave of the peacock feather, so I'll try and keep it brief. Well, I see Vajrasattva for me as a placeholder, a gateway, or a portal. And it's a gateway, a placeholder, or a portal to wisdom beyond words. That's a Bhante phrase. The highest human expression of the qualities that I aspire to. He embodies the kinds of understanding that I can't commit to memory, I can't express, but I have a feel for. He represents for me what I call the non-conceptual zone, which is vast. Bodhinaga sort of referred to that as the non-rational. I like the non-conceptual zone. Some things that I can't think about, but I can intuit or feel in my heart are right. And those aspects, of course, of wisdom and compassion that are revealed through experiences like ritual, like the upwelling of faith, through meditation, through visiting sacred spaces, and through connection with others. The compassion of the Golden Vajra combined with the wisdom and insight of that ringing bell. And perhaps in summary, it is non-rational and it's all a bit weird, but it's all the better for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much to our speakers. 3 really wonderful, intimate glimpses into something very, very personal that we wouldn't usually get to hear about very often. So very privileged to hear from all 3 speakers. So first of all, just give them another round of applause. Thank you.